Happy Thursday, everybody. This is Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. And so I recorded a podcast on Tuesday, and I was like, we're kind of in the slow part of the season, not a lot going on this weekend. We're going to be, nice, relaxing weekend. And then I realized it's Woodbine Mile weekend. And we got a lot of graded stakes at Belmont. And you got a couple at Churchill. So we actually got a pretty busy week until oddly busy week, I think, until we really pick up Keeneland. Brian, what are you most excited for this week?
The Bears? Can I say that?
I mean, have they decided to play Justin Fields yet, or are we going to watch another?
The Bears playing Justin Fields is a lot like the Chad Brown LASIK angle. Does it really matter? I think the Bears, they suck. Sorry. I went down a whole different
way to be a downer.
You're
working this weekend though, right?
I am. So I'm not prepared for horse racing at all today.
Okay.
I'm playing a classic Josh move. I've walked in the door like an hour ago. I had dinner with the family, and I'm like, okay, let's handicap on the fly. So this is going to be great. When Caleb's talking about, this Euro Dam Shippers, a 4% winner, I'm going to be like, I like the horse run fast. So that's all I got.
I mean, I just assume what you normally do is you just listen to the three of us talk, and then you're like, I'm going to say the exact opposite.
Sometimes that does happen because, Mark and Caleb are usually on the same horses. And ever since you quit betting Jakarta, you're ending up on the same horses too. So it's like, let me be different. Let me take that, Fukudomi horse in the 10th.
Mark, are you proud that I did not bet Jakarta last week?
I don't believe that you actually did not bet Jakarta.
I didn't bet her?
Because I know you. If you actually didn't bet Jakarta, Jakarta would have won, and then we would have never heard the end of it. So you bet Jakarta as a hedge against yourself.
Nope. Didn't happen. No money.
Oh, reverse psychology. I love it.
How was your week? How was your weekend? What you get into here, Mark?
No, I don't know, man. It's been good week. Crazy, a little busy. Asanova closed down for the season, so I'm sad. My honey hole is dried up until next year once again. Hit the high five. Missed the pick 5, which was completely impossible last night. You guys were all complaining about Canterbury, and I was like, I don't want to tell you I'm making money, so I just, Yeah.
Speaking of Canterbury, I think that's a great time to get Caleb in here. Man, what a mess that was yesterday, huh?
Oh man, God bless Canterbury. Yeah, they have that really, really nice, like super player friendly Big Ten BCBC tournament today actually. So tried to get in there via the last chance feeder and just could not make the right decision. If I like 2 horses and I pick one, the other one wins. If I use them vertically, they run first and third. It was just one of those nights.
Have you seen the leaderboard, Caleb?
I have not seen it for today. No.
The leader currently has almost 11,000 with 2 minimums left, and the BCBC winner from a couple of years ago is right behind him with 8,500 with 4 plays left. So
well, you figure they start with $2,000, so right. No one's really run away with it. I would say. It's basically hitting up 4-1. But that's more than I could do last night. So.
What's funny is I feel like I started off. I had the right idea, and I think I had a couple of nice prices. Just run second, run good races, and I just missed out those first couple of races. And then by race 4, I just did not give a shit, and so I was just like, all right, well, I think I had like $50 or $75 left, and I just tossed it all in after running second.
You had some nice price horses in the first 2 races that ran, I think, second in both, which is kind of tough. So I feel you there. I got my initial picks were winning. A couple of horses scratched. It changed me to a different horse, and the initial horse I picked won anyway, so that always stings. But just one of those nights.
See, I think you both fell victim to trying to force of play in a tournament for value and end up biting you just because the way Canterbury played. And how many times have we had that conversation? You're like, oh, tournament, I need value. And then last night, if you would have just taken the obvious winners, you qualified to today. So, I mean, interesting scenario, good topic of conversation for a different day.
Yeah, you're right.
Speaking of a tournament play, I did want to point out, Caleb, you did get a new video up for StableDuel 101 this past weekend. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's on our YouTube channel. Caleb, I think you kind of do a little bit deeper dive into actually building your stable, kind of the things you look for. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
Yeah, so the very first video I did was super introductory. Just what is StableDuel kind of stuff. This one that I just posted this weekend, it's a little more in depth than that. So it assumes you kind of know the roles and the scoring and things like that, but looks at 5 key factors that I try to consider when building a stable. It kind of gives some basic strategy as well as a couple more intermediate level tips and tricks that I use when building a stable. So if you haven't watched it yet, check it out. I think it can help some people. So it's worth a glance.
Yeah, and I feel like it'd be remiss if we didn't mention. And I got to talk to Bree again to see. We have a winner hat to give away, and unfortunately, the subject of our contest was put into retirement, and so I feel like we have to pay tribute to Zulu Alpha. So enjoy. What if I told you that the perfect man did exist, but he was cursed? I mean, he's just a complete handicapper. East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. Might be the best I've ever seen. He could be the best looking guy in all of horse racing. I mean, he gives Matt Bernier a run for his money. I mean, we all saw it. He was minding his own business, walking back from the bathroom. Hottest girl in the bar just grabs him and says, "Reel me in." Turns out you can't always be that lucky, though.
Zulu Alpha charges up the rail under Tyler Gaffleon and takes the lead late. Zulu Alpha wins the Pegasus World Cup turf.
I'll be honest, I hadn't seen that in a long time, and I uploaded this today, and I was just laughing. I was just like, that shot of you just drinking a bourbon with I tried to beat Zulu Alpha, and all I got was this shirt, Evil Bob Dole shirt. Oh man,
I forgot how good that was. I haven't watched that in a while, and oh boy, it's been a long 3 years, Zulu Alpha, but the curse is broken.
I just have a question. When you go down to Kentucky, will you be visiting old friends to see that awesome horse?
I probably would. I would like to stop by old friends and check it out. Maybe give them a carrot.
Yeah. I would make sure that we keep we get that carrot inspected for any kind of foul play, just in case. But
he's gonna get banned from old friends.
Oh, Caleb's a Southern gentleman. He knows how to behave.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, that's enough fun. Let's get into some of these races here. I figured we'd take a look at the cross country pick 5 here. We got some good races this weekend. And I know Mark already was giving me shit because he realized that there are 2-year-old stakes races in here. And I actually, when we get to those, I kind of want to talk to you guys and maybe touch a little bit more on that process for those 2-year-old stakes races, and just kind of what you guys see or what you guys think. But yeah, here we go. Race 9 at Belmont, the Jockey Club Oaks Invitational. We're going to be going 1 mile and 3/8 on the inner turf. So obviously Caleb's favorite distance. And we got a field of, I believe, 7 here. Our morning line favorite looks to be a kind of a tepid favorite. The number 2 Higher Truth here at 3-1. But you got a lot of good horses in here. I'm kind of against Higher Truth in this spot. I'm a bigger fan of this one here, Creative Flair. I know Creative Flair did get beat by Higher Truth last time out. But I mean, you're getting a pretty big jock upgrade here. I mean, I'm not going to lie. And I mean, that might just be enough here to kind of turn the tables here on Higher Truth. The horse ran really well overseas and coming here second time. I don't know. I kind of like Creative Flair here at a slightly better price to turn the tables on Higher Truth. And I also kind of like the 6, the other Chad Brown, Shantasara. At least on Brisnet, that race last out, the pucker up, is right there with the rest of these horses. And I don't know. I just think Pratt has been riding pretty well for Chad. I know we actually were just talking a little bit before that maybe he's gone a little cold on the East Coast, but I'm just kind of looking at these horses and their recent form. And I think the 6 fits pretty well, especially if you're trying to get around this 2. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really have if you look at the fig for that last race from Higher Truth, I mean, it looks like a big regression on Briz. I don't know what other products look like. So I'm gonna guess I'm gonna go with the 1 on the improve. I think the 2's probably gonna be just a little flat, and I'll prefer the other Chad here. Brian, what do you think?
I think it's interesting that you said Higher Truth regressed here. I think if you look 2 back, I think Higher Truth ran at like a career top, if you will. So I'm not sure if last out was a regression as much as it was just a normal effort from Higher Truth. With that being said, I do like Higher Truth here, but I like to do opposite of what you said, right? So I actually like the 4 be up. It is in New York, and it does have IRAD aboard, so that's always a positive on a turf race in New York with IRAD. Jonathan Thomas has been pretty hot lately, from if I can remember right, and why not? I mean, the horse is 15-1 in the morning line. Don't get me wrong; the 2 and 6 are probably the most likely winners. So maybe I should take them defensively. What do you think, Mark?
Really? I'm gonna get flack about that, huh?
Well, it's one of those things. I wrote down the 2 and the 6 as A's, right? And I said, okay, fade the 3, easy enough. But then the more and more I looked, I'm like, man, maybe this 4 does have a shot. So why not? Why not be a little different? What if the cross country starts off? Both Chad Browns are going to take money. What if? So I mean, it's one of those things where I would love to play against both Chad Browns, but it's probably the right angle if I go real skinny. I just single the 4, maybe use Josh's 1 and try and beat the Chad Browns, but probably a horrible idea for long-term ROI.
Yeah, I mean, didn't we just have this conversation about forcing a play? I mean, you're going to try to, force a 15-1. I think there's value to be had in this race. I 100% agree with you. And I think looking at BSF and looking at Timeform US, they had Higher Truth's last race being the best race of Higher Truth's career. And it looks like she's slowly improving and kind of getting better every race. My real issue with it is that we're going 3/16 further this time than we were last time out. And I don't know how much further she really wants to go. I mean, I realize she's got the Galileo on the top end, but it almost seemed like I don't know. I think she's going to be a little bit compromised by the extra distance. They were reeling her in late there, and she wasn't really running into crazy fractions. So you'd expect her to be able to stay on a little better. And the fact that she seemed to be stopping a little late in that, kind of concerns me a little. I went the same way Josh did here to some degree. I went with Creative Flair, the 1. I think Creative Flair is a horse who was getting to Higher Truth in the last out, and if the jockey up that day, who I can say a lot of things about, a little better ride, I think Creative Flair could have potentially gotten there. And the other horse, well, I guess there's technically 2 other horses in here that I would try to use to get around Higher Truth. One of them is the 5 Doan for Simon Callahan, up Johnny V getting up for Simon Callahan. This is a horse that should like a little bit more distance, and has been quite the, she's 5/8 in her career, 5/8 over turf. A horse that likes to win, horse that likes to find the winner's circle. And I like to ship to the East Coast for the daughter of Vancouver. And the other one I thought was a little interesting in here was oh god, I'm gonna screw up the name. I'm sure Harajuka, the 7 for Andre Fab. A horse that again has the pedigree, should be able to get this slightly more distance, deep impact over Galileo. Talk about being freaking royally bred, and I find it interesting. Fab doesn't send a lot of these to the States unless it's Breeders' Cup time. So I have a feeling that one's probably pretty loaded.
Oh boy, I looked at this race and I'm like, wow, like you could probably make a case for any horse in the field, and I think we just did. But that being said, this is a tough race. I agree. I'm not as against Higher Truth as y'all seem to be. I'm a little surprised. I figured y'all would all be on that horse. I'm not convinced that Creative Flair was really getting to her. I mean, she made up a length. I mean, she passed some horses, but she wasn't really getting any closer to the leader, I don't think. But I'm not against Creative Flair in here either. I mean, going from Mike Smith to pretty much anybody is an upgrade on the turf, and I think that Jamie Spencer is obviously quite a talented jockey who ships over and rides pretty frequently for Charles Appleby. I wouldn't talk anybody off that horse either. My top pick was the one Mark mentioned, and I probably can't pronounce either, is Harajuku. Not sure how you say it, but just kind of looking at this race, there's no monsters in here. For once, there is no Santa Barbara in this field. So this kind of looks a little bit ripe for the taking. And I think that Harajuku was probably just the most class tested of any of these in here. She has a Group 3 win over there in France already. She banged heads with a couple of Group 1 winners and Joan of Arc and a few others. And if you look at her form, I mean, her last couple haven't looked amazing. And you could argue that it's just that she was up too far in group and just was in over her head. But I really think that she's just a horse that wants a little bit firmer ground. I mean, her last 4 races were all on soft turf. And she just didn't really seem to be quite as effective. If you look at the 5 races before that, tossed the race over the heavy where she just didn't handle the going at all. And her form looks a lot different. She has 2 wins, a second and a third from 4 starts over good or better ground. So I think she's finally going to get some firmer turf today. The distance is no question at all for this horse, I don't think. And I like the fact that jockey ships over and keeps them out for pretty much his only mount of the weekend. So I like Harajuku, but this is a race where I really wouldn't, talk anybody off of just about anybody.
So Brian, I did notice your private message. There's 7 race field, and Mark talks about 6 of them.
Well, he's going to eat
Talk about 3.
He's going to eat a B. 3. What are you talking about?
3.
You talked about Higher Truth. Then
Who I wasn't going to eat.
Creative Flair. You talked about Madone. You talked about Harajuka. Yeah, the only one you didn't talk about was the 4. Which was,
no, he did talk about the 4. He was telling you, like, I don't see the 4. So he was, yeah.
Brian, I tried to get to your 4. I'm like, this horse is probably the leader, and there's no speed in this race. But God, those races are bad.
Josh, I gotta ask Josh, how are you not all over the 5? Horses, lone speed by 1.5 miles in a turf marathon. I thought that was like Josh.
You mean the 4?
No, Madone, right?
You mean the horse that was 8th by 11, 8th by 4 in the last 2 starts?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're seeing there.
Time form has Madone being the fastest.
Time form is it's one of those times where she chased fast fractions, but she's not a leader.
Okay.
She won't come to the front.
It's one of those things though too that I think time form has a problem with these West Coast horses shipping over east, because I think just because they actually have honest paces in those races, you could sit like 5th or 6th in that race and probably end up looking like you're a leader in the East Coast.
Let me ask you. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Why is Flavian not on Madone? 3-time winner with that horse. Why is he not on that mount?
I mean, I just don't think. I mean, if this horse won the Del Mar Oaks, I'd be a little bit more interested in it. But like, if you're not beating every single West Coast turf horse, like, I don't even want to think about you in the East Coast. Like,
where is Pratt in New York this weekend?
Yeah, he's riding the 6.
He's on the 6.
He's on the 6.
Sorry.
So that's what I didn't understand. Is this horse is a West Coast horse? Flavian's rode this horse 4 times, won 3 times, and so I didn't understand that, and that's a red flag to me. Granted, that was a year ago. I still look at that because maybe I don't think Simon would have said, "Oh, we really don't want Flavian again." I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I think we tend to overthink jockey angles anyway, and this may be me doing that.
I think it's noteworthy. I agree with you, but I don't like the horse either way. But if it's another reason why I don't like the horse, so I'll pile on.
And the 4, I'm telling you.
Let's move on to race 10 here, the Jockey Club Derby. We're gonna go a mile and a half on the turf once again. We're right in Caleb's wheelhouse here. Caleb, I'll let you take first pass at this one.
Yeah, so I'm taking another shot here with the horse that I probably can't pronounce. Ibir, the 2. I'm not sure how you say the horse's name, but I do think it's the horse to beat. This race kind of feels like a showdown between Godolphin and Coolmore a little bit, between the 2-horse Ibir and then Bolshoi Ballet with Aiden O'Brien and Coolmore. So I've never really been a huge Bolshoi Ballet fan. I didn't like him in either of our previous streams, really, and I still don't really like him. I thought he's never run back to that same effort he'd had in the Darristown Stud Derby trial, 4 back at Leopardstown. His last race, he was a little bit rank. He was kind of fighting, going to the lead, which is not a trip he really wants. They're going to add cheek pieces today, but I just have never liked Bolshoi Ballet. I like Ibir a lot better. He's in good form. He's coming out of a Group 2 win. He has multiple successful races here at a mile and a half or a mile and 5/8 in that ballpark. So the distance is going to be no question for him, whereas a number of others here are stretching out. I thought that last race was pretty strong here. And he just really seems like the horse that's in sharp form. He's been better since they gelded him a couple starts ago, when it seems like that may have made the lights go off in his head a little bit. And I really just think this horse, he makes a lot of sense here. He probably didn't quite handle the soft going Goodwood 2 back, but he really ran well at York, which is a track that plays pretty similar to most American tracks. It's flat, it's left-handed, and it's pretty good for horses that translate over to America. So I like Ibir here. I think he's the horse to beat. Not much of a price at 2-1, but again, this is a race that there's short prices here who I don't like, but you could go a lot of ways here. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, to kind of, I guess, piggyback on that, I think Ibir is my top pick in here. I think I'm going to also go back to the Bolshoi Ballet. Well, I know that last race wasn't super good, but I'll forgive that one because that first race here, the first part of the Turf Triple, was very, very impressive. So I'll go back to the well here, but I think those are the only 2 horses I really want any piece of in here. Mark, what are you thinking?
Agreeing with Caleb a lot. Ibir is my top choice in here. The other horse I was a little interested in was Soldier Rising, who I will give a bit of an excuse over potentially not loving the inner at Saratoga. And I thought that the horse made a fair bit of sense, and Arad stays up for Christoph. So I thought that was the only other one I could really make a good case for behind Ibir, and I tend to agree. I think I tend to agree with what Caleb was saying. Don't know how much Bolshoi Ballet I want. I don't know what happened in the last, if it was just him not loving the circuit or didn't get his setup. I don't know. I know he was a little rank and didn't look comfortable. So, but I kind of expected a little more out of him than a pretty darn flat effort. And Soldier Rising beat him last time out, and you're probably going to get quite a bit more price on Soldier Rising you will Bolshoi Ballet here. So,
man, interesting. I'm going to keep it very simple. I don't like the 2. I think the 2 is a kind of horse that I will let beat me. I think there's enough other prices or value horses here for me to look at. So with that being said, you know who likes to ruin Mark's weekends more than anybody else?
You.
Let me switch over to see Mark's face here. Dylan Davis. Dylan Davis. Go to that 5, Josh. Go to that 5. Now, that's an ugly running line. That's an ugly history. I think this horse may actually benefit from a little bit of a pace setup. And why not? Why not Dylan Davis? I'll tell you why. But no, I do like the 4 in the 8.
To quote Caleb, that horse is going to have to catch an Uber from the top of the stretch.
I actually love Step Dancer as a horse. I mean, I was really impressed with his last couple of races, but this is not. I don't know if you just thought this race would turn up kind of soft, maybe since it's not a graded stakes. But this is,
this is the deep end of the pool.
Connections. I'm probably scratching out of this race.
See, you say that, Josh. Mark the time so we can clip Mark's comment about this horse being bad. Thanks.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, look at Briss right there. 4th in prime power, 17% trainer on this kind of layoff. Won the last out. Granted, it was 150,000 race, but if you don't like Bolshoi Boulay or whatever the hell that horse's name is, I mean, where do you go? This is a softer race. I mean, you guys all love the 2, but if you hate the 8 that much, who else can win this race? So that's why I'm going to take Chaos here and say, you know what? This horse is 20-1 in the morning line, has a decent form, looks okay. Why not? I mean, I know if you look at speed on Briz right there, the horse probably doesn't fit, but this could be a chaotic race with horses that are kind of soft. That's my thought process. And I'd probably go 4-8, you know, defensively. But I do like the 5.
I love how you mentioned that it's 4th best on prime power, and it's like a 30-point difference.
And the 2 isn't even ranked.
Well, the 2 won't be ranked, right? Because it's a Euro
right.
shipper, and I get that. But you know, it's just one of those. I just saw that when Josh pulled it up. It was like, oh, okay. I'll just quote that real quick. You know, I mean, the horse is not likely to win, but it's just one of those horses that I think 20-1 is ridiculous in this spot. You know, and with the arguments you guys made against the 8, 21 is probably really crazy.
Well, the good news is I think you'll probably get 40 or 50-1. You know, and you know, the horse could improve. You know, I like the horse; he could improve.
Polka Dot Taylor in the chat saying Sisterson. So he's talking about the 1 Tango 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 here, who's ran in the Bruce D, which might have been the softest grade 1 ran all year. But yeah, ran second to Point Me By there, who didn't show up in the spot. But I don't know. That's I got a hard time getting there.
I mean, I spent a lot of last stream trashing the Arlington Stakes races and the horses exiting them, and I was just super vindicated when they all ran like shit at Kentucky Downs.
Dude, they all like scratched.
Well, a couple scratched, and then Paint Me By, and a couple others didn't run well either.
I mean, Tango 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 couldn't win in a spot that's a Dunkin' Donuts right now, and now you're going to come back and play that horse. No thanks.
It's not Dunkin' Donuts yet. All right, I got tickets for next Saturday.
Well,
by the way, Brian, I got an extra box seat if you want to come.
Get a latte, Dunkin' Donuts.
The Starbucks isn't that far.
Arlington runs on Dunkin'.
All right, let's keep going. Let's move on to the Woodbine Mile, race 10. This is going to be leg 3 of the cross country pick 5 here, and we got a pretty interesting race here. You know, you got Set Piece and Raging Bull both in here, and you know, Raging Bull, I don't know what the heck is going on with this horse. I feel like every time we think this horse is rounding into form or we're figuring the horse out, like he just like decides to like, I don't know, fire a bunch of duds. So, I mean, based off his last 2 races, I mean, I just can't trust him here, especially at 2-1. I definitely looked elsewhere. One of the horses that I did like in this spot was the 2 Olympic Runner, who won the King Edward a couple weeks back at Woodbine, going a mile on the turf, and just coming back here, beat, you know, a number of horses in this spot in this race, and you know, at 10-1, I like this horse to maybe try and repeat here. And the other horse that I like, well, actually, Caleb, maybe I should let you talk about this horse because I think you highlighted the other horse that I like, which was the 10 Space Traveler here.
Yeah, so I really like Space Traveler here. I don't think you'll get anywhere near 12-1, unfortunately, but I really like this horse in this spot. I'm totally with you. In fact, I wrote an entire, multiple paragraphs about how much Raging Bull cannot win this race. So I'm sure he's going to go right into winner circle after that. But Space Traveler, I think, makes a ton of sense in here. He came in with his first local start in the Mr. D at Arlington, which is the only race that was worth half of anything at the entire Arlington card, I think, with domestic spending and Glenn County and a few others. He came out a little bit slow that day. He got shuffled back to last. He was inside of horses, got a little bit rank. And then at that point, the race was pretty much over. They let a loose leader go 52-2 and then 116-3. And you just can't close into those kind of fractions. So he made an honest effort. He passed about 3 or 4 horses to get up for fourth and made up a few lengths. But with the trouble in the beginning and then the slow pace, he's never really going to be successful with that kind of a trip. But the speed figure came back really fast. Timeform loved it. I don't know how it looks on. Briz actually likes it quite a bit as well. I don't know how Beyer cared for that race or not, they liked it. Yeah, I mean, that was a strong race all around, it seems like. The horse Space Traveler, he came home his final 2 furlongs in 22.67 seconds. I mean, he was flying at the end of that race, but just left with too much to do. I think the cutback here makes a lot of sense. He's been campaigned mostly as a miler. I think that's probably where he's the best. And he's had most of his success at tracks that play most similar to American tracks. I talked about it earlier with Ibeer. And again, I mean, tracks like York and Leopardstown play a lot more similar to American tracks with, left-handed turns. There are not too many undulations, relatively flat. And that's where he's had most of his success. The more quirky tracks like Ascot and Goodwood, he hasn't quite handled so much. So I like Space Traveler here a ton, and I'm going to have a lot of bets going through and around him.
I believe you also noted Space Traveler. Oh, that was actually mine. But both you and I both like this Space Traveler play here for StableDuel. So I know I talked to Bree today. She said I'll check the contest schedule, and it didn't look like there was a Woodbine tournament, but she assured me today that there's going to be a Woodbine contest. So Space Traveler here, 12-1. It's going to be $750. Both Caleb and I like it, which means that I'm sure that this horse is going to be much, much shorter on the morning line. Michael's chiming in saying that he wanted to join just to say that he's pissed Caleb gave away all of his good StableDuel strategies on the YouTube page. So, Michael, we're gonna try and get Michael on here one of these weeks. We gotta work out schedules, but he's a good guy and he's a big StableDuel player.
He's always killing it.
I did want to touch another thing. Jay Davis, who was also the big winner at big winner at Kentucky Downs, hitting the late pick 5 for like $9,500. And the area we were sitting in is outdoors. It's kind of like a covered tent, and the lady's counting out his hundreds. And a gust of wind came through and knocked them all over. She had to start over. So it took us probably a solid 20 minutes to get to sit here and wait for him to get paid. But big shout out to Jay. But he likes Ride a Comet here, undefeated at the Great Canadian Turfway. Mark, what do you think about Ride a Comet here?
I like Ride a Comet here quite a bit, actually. I think I agree with you guys on Space Traveler. I agree on Ride a Comet. But I kind of preferred the other Cassie entry, the 3 March to the Arch. I thought March to the Arch was a horse who they used this same exact race schedule last year, and he ran absolutely huge of the mile when they ran him in the Woodbine Mile. So he was second to Starship Jubilee. So I like the setup for him coming to this race. He's another horse that seems to very much enjoy the whatever we're referring to it as, the Great Canadian Turfway. No, I thought both the Cassie entrants, March to the Arch and Ride a Comet, both made a lot of sense. I would go probably for the pricier one of the two, though.
Yeah, I prefer Ride a Comet of all the Cassie entries here. I don't hate Olympic Runner. I just don't know if he's this good. March to the Arch, I think, needs 9 furlongs. I think a mile's a little too sharp, but I don't totally hate him, especially if you get 6 or 8 to 1.
Brian, what you thinking?
Did you guys talk about set piece? I can't lie.
Not yet, no.
I spaced out.
Nope.
So this is the kind of horse that I like to play against, and I'm going to talk about it for just a second. The horse seems way too slow early, and then you put Joel on. So how far back's this horse going to be at the half mile? I don't know. It's one of those things where at 5-2, because it's Brad Cox, because Joel had a hot Kentucky Downs, is this horse just going to take stupid money? And I can make 10 different reasons of why I'd prefer not to play this horse, and it's just it was one of those things. I just noticed it, and it's like the horse can win, but that's the kind of horse I think I'd let beat me. But I thought for sure one of you would have at least mentioned that horse by now. But sorry.
I mean, I kind of don't like I don't like the short prices in this spot. I don't know, set piece. I feel like who's the best horse that set piece is beaten? Like Some Like a Hot Brown, and that was going a mile and 16th, and I don't know.
Raging Bull count?
I mean, what about Digital Age? Monarch's Glen?
I mean, how far back are we going here?
Right. I mean, that's a year.
I mean, he did beat Busy Channel, so and that's a legit turf horse right there. But I don't know, like set piece. Who set piece reminds me of? Who is that horse? Was it another Brad Cox horse that used to run a mile on the turf and used to win like all of his races, all on the front end, and then all of a sudden he just like started losing. Like Factor this. Thank you. Like he reminds me of a horse like that. Like it's always going to be at a short price and never really wins like super impressively. And like I always want to try and beat. But I don't know. I think you can beat the two short prices in this spot. I think there's enough value in here that you don't even look at them. But I mean, if you feel like, I think especially Raging Bull, I think Raging Bull is going to be like the underlay of the day at all tracks in this spot. So I don't know. I don't think I want to touch either of them. I mean, like maybe if set piece floats up to like 3-1, 4-1, I'd be interested. But I don't know, 5-2. I'm just not.
What if we go a different route then, Josh? You said you don't want to go a short one. What if we go horse for course and stick with a local horse? This is going to be the third race now. I talk about a horse that's 20-1 that doesn't really stand a chance and is getting.
You're going to talk about Town Cruise? Because if you're going to talk about Town Cruise, I kind of like that horse.
I'm going to talk about Town Cruise.
Josh has to like that horse.
Yeah, Josh. How does Josh not love this horse?
I'm not on this horse at all.
The Canadian Jakarta.
It's a 3-cherry special.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of though? Who was the horse that upset in the mile like 2 years ago?
El Tormenta.
El Tormenta, yes. Right? Then El Tormenta had ran well locally, and then and then got a perfect trip in that race and won. Beat was it Got Stormy, and I think it was Got Stormy, and I forgot who else, but.
I have a feeling that line on Town Cruise is bad. I think that horse probably takes money because between Town Cruise and Olympic Runner, I didn't think you could draw. I don't think Town Cruise should be double the price Olympic Runner is. I think that's just insanity. I mean, because especially on the horse for course angle and the fact that the two of them were 1-2 in the prep for this race, which is the local prep.
Well, and the horse just beat March the Arch, and March the Arch is 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's just ridiculous. Yep. Unless it's just a connections thing, maybe they know something north of the border. We might have to call Canada and see if there's some news on this horse locally, because it makes no sense to me. But at 20-1, if you're playing StableDuel, this horse is going to be valuable because it's going to get bet down.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on the odds. I don't think this horse can win, but I certainly think the horse can hit the board. And even at 10-1 or 12-1, that's a great bottom half of the exotics key.
And at 20-1, that's what $100 or what's
$250, I think.
$250 on StableDuel. I mean, that's that'll be some nice welcome points. I do want to point out John Wilbanks. I saw the guys in the other Discord talking about this, but a horse at Remington just paid $374 to win.
Oh, quarters or was thoroughbred?
Thoroughbreds.
Wow.
And it was like a turf race too. So it's like, what is that? 171 to 1.
So you can have over 99 to 1s there. Damn.
It's like the Asanobia of America.
No, because otherwise Mark would be all over it. Delta Downs is the Isinaboa of
Not when they run daytime. Nobody has time to.
No, nobody has time for that. Who plays that? Who plays Delta in the day? Well, Delta's only fun ones to run at night.
So is anybody here like any of the short prices?
I have an irrational hatred of Raging Bull. I have for literally 3 or 4 years. And I think both of the favorites. I think Raging Bull just on the Frankie Dettori line is going to take a stupid amount of money. Oh, Frankie Dettori is here to ride Raging Bull, and the horse is going to take dumb money. And I just can he win? Yeah, totally, he can win. Do his odds reflect his chances of winning? No way in hell.
I just always think I think that this is just like an early season horse. You know what I mean? I think they turn this horse out, the horse comes back, fires fresh, and then the horse just kind of regresses. At least form wise. I mean, it looks like he kind of just goes backward a little bit. So I don't know. I just don't like this. I don't like this type of form pattern. I've only looked at Briz, so I haven't looked. I'm sure his on figs the horse probably fits. I'm sure Caleb's got a negative 1750. I mean, he got pattern on the sheets or something.
And he get beat by a pregnant mare 2 backs. So what's that say?
Dude, I'm still sour about that because I just bet Alexandra blindly for all the time, and then finally when she goes off at 17-1, I'm like, no, I think I've had enough.
Yeah, I don't want I won't have a dime going through Raging Bull. I won't have him in exactas or probably even trifectas. No. I'm not as against set piece as the rest of y'all. I mean, I get it. He's a 1-run closer in a race without much speed, but he is, at least on time form, I mean, arguably the fastest horse in the race, or at least one of the top 2. And I think Rosario fits this horse. I mean, Rosario, I know we say, oh, he waits forever, but on these stone cold closers, I don't think there's anyone that has better timing than Rosario. Drew's been riding terrible for a couple of weeks now. He had a real bad Kentucky Downs, so I think that this is easily a jockey upgrade here. My concern with him is really just the pace. I don't know if he might be left with too much to do turning for home. And I'm not sure how good the 4-star Dave was this year. I mean, that form wasn't exactly franked when Got Stormy and Casa Creed came back to run 5th and 6th at Kentucky Downs at short prices. So I'm not against him in terms of a cross-country pick 5. I'll probably have him, but I won't have any Raging Bull.
Hey. Yeah, and also the 4-star Dave's a little bit of a weird race, just given that it's on the Saratoga Inner, and a lot of times horses either love it or hate it. So yeah, and obviously Stormy had loved it previously, but that race coming back out of Kentucky Downs makes you really feel that anything out of the 4-star Dave is a little bit suspect.
Hey, you guys have said coming out of Kentucky Downs and the performance at Kentucky Downs, are you really weighting the performances at Kentucky Downs that much? I mean, if a horse went to Saratoga and performed well, goes to Kentucky Downs on this little meet and doesn't run well, how much are you actually going to discount a horse for that? I mean, it's a Euro track, it's long grass. There's plenty of reasons to say, okay, I can toss that race out.
Yeah, but Got Stormy and Casa Creed did both.
Exactly.
3 of you, holy
yeah, they both run well on the.
Got Stormy won the race last year at Kentucky Downs, so I can't say she doesn't like the track. I mean, at Casa Creed, maybe he just didn't handle it, but with Got Stormy, I can't just toss that race because I know she likes it. But your point is valid. If in other scenarios, I do think that's kind of an angle where I may not weight it quite as heavily because some horses just don't handle that track.
I'll tell you what, who definitely didn't handle the track was Keep Pounding. He did not handle the track well whatsoever. Shout out Keep Pounding.
I was hoping you were going to say Jakarta, and then you didn't.
Weren't you big on AB's Flatter a few weeks ago? Was that one of you guys?
The horse sounds familiar, but I think it might have just been because the horse was running in the Canadian Triple Crown last year. But that's the only really other pace factor in this race, I think, and it's not actual pace. This is a horse that's kind of just gotten the lead on accident or just happened to get it, and I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think this horse is going to sit second probably. I'm guessing that's where Timeform has her, is sitting second, or him.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't know where Timeform has her. I don't going to pull it up right now.
No.
I think the wild card is the 6. I mean, the 6 can't win, but like, why are you even here? Coming out of those sprints, the horse has never been too far off the pace. Could show some early speed just on the stretch out here. Not that she can win, I don't think. I don't know why she's here, but she might do enough to ruin the 1.
I think the 1 might be ruined anyway. But
So Brian, who did you like here then?
Well, I was a little bit to the 3 and a little bit to the 1. I'll probably use Space Traveler just because it's not often that you and Caleb agree on a horse. So I don't want to miss this momentous occasion. And, maybe I use Raging Bull defensively. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, you know who normally does agree on horses is me and Caleb's dad.
That is
I
true.
forgot what it was. What horse was it this weekend? I was like, I kind of like this horse, and your response is like you and my dad just handicap exactly the same.
I can't remember. It was something at Kentucky Downs, I think.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Michael's got a good point about Raging Bull there.
When Raging Bull is second in the time form US pace, this has no speed.
Right. And that's the thing. And that's why I think Caleb might be spot on. The 6, maybe the 6 is just there to ruin somebody else's day. But hopefully Daisuke is confident enough in that 1 and knows the track well enough and can give the 1 time to relax and a nice run.
That was a mark pronunciation there on Daisuke.
That's okay. I said it just like a ESPN baseball guy would. That's how you do that. I mean, those guys get paid millions. I'm sitting here having fun in my underwear. I can say it however I want.
We'll come back to Woodbine a little bit later at the end. I think we got a couple other StableDuel plays. I know Mark and Brian. Well, Brian liked the Gulfstream play, so it was a little bonus. But
I only went there because I know Mark wouldn't, and Caleb's not playing Gulfstream in September, so I had to change it up.
I believe Caleb has played Gulfstream in September.
I think he's played Gulfstream in like last week.
I had to handicap it for that for a tournament, and it was just as bad as I thought it would be.
I played Gulfstream in September when I was at simulcast at Churchill Downs on Friday.
Shame.
I'll tell you what, man. Have you guys been to the simulcast area in Churchill?
No.
I've been to Churchill, but I don't know if I spent much time.
It's like it is just way too nice. Like it is just way for the amount of degeneracy that was going on there. It was just way too nice. Like everything was clean. It was like brand new, and like Churchill Downs is like very modern, very much like it's almost like a brand new like minor league like baseball stadium kind of thing. Like like it's got like the nice little stands and stuff like that. Like so it was just like super clean, a lot of TVs and stuff, and just like the fucking regular ass OTB people there rooting home their $2 bets. Like it was a wild experience there.
Were people still picking up spent tickets from the ground like every other OTB in the world?
Oh yeah. Shit. By the end of the day, I think we were too. we got our asses handed that day because we were fucking playing Gulfstream on a Friday in September. But
don't blame Gulfstream. That's like,
Okay, the Gulfstream part wasn't that bad because there was nothing else running on Friday. But the Belterra Park wager that I placed was probably a little much.
Please tell me you had like a stable horse. You didn't actually handicap Belterra on a.
Dude, the other day I actually pinged Caleb because Overbore was entered at Belterra. I was like, call him up. Call up the guys. Let's
Did
go.
he run? I was looking for results.
No, he scratched.
Oh, I was
he scratched, but I was like, call him up. Let's go. Let's get the bets in.
Oh my
God.
I'm just waiting for Josh to have replay analysis for Belterra. That's what I want.
Dude, I'll tell you, man, going through the Saratoga replays, like I'm like behind. But like it's tough, man, because how long those cards are and how many days they run. Like they run 5 days, but on top of it, they're running like 10, 11 races when most places are only running 8 or 9. So like not only are you running like an extra day, but like you have a completely another extra day worth of races, just in extra races they run. Like it's a slog, man. I gotta get my nose down and just finish those. But
you can always use the sheets. They'll discount you for being wide or on the rail, and they'll help you out a little bit.
I actually wanted to talk to Caleb. I was going to say one of these, and you too, Brian. I know you know how to use them, Mark. I know you're not a fan, but I kind of just like want to like do like a call where we pull up the sheets for a race and we just like talk through them and like maybe look at a couple races, because like I still have no clue, and like I know it's like just like a number, but like I don't know. I feel like people like see shit that doesn't exist on there. Or I don't know, maybe I'm just not reading them right, but
there are graphs of the product that after the race you go back to and you say, oh yeah,
there it was, right there it was.
The horse ran a 12 races back. How'd I miss that? That's what happens.
And look, there's an ANNQZ pattern right there. It was right there. Yeah.
ANNQZ.
Steven saying that it was a horse in the Canterbury tournament that we both liked.
Thank you, fact checker.
I'm glad someone pays attention to our conversations.
I
feel like Evil Bob Dole like would be like a great, like if we ever needed like historian. Like he'd be a great like Discord and like on the wrong lead like scribe or historian, like telling like the written history, because he just remembers everything.
Well, he's the only one that pays attention. The rest of us just wait for our turn to talk, and some of us can't read lowercase letters.
Are you done? Like, it's my turn.
Exactly. It's like, oh, hey, I really like this horse. What do you guys think? And then all of a sudden, here comes Josh. Holy crap, Belmont! It's like, no, I'm talking about Asanobia. It's like living with Mark.
Can we just pretend these next two races don't exist?
Look at. So I really want to talk about these races because I have no fucking clue. And so I'm just really curious, like what you guys do in this spot, right? We're going to talk about the Pocahontas first. It's leg 4 of the cross country, and none of these horses have routed yet, like legit. Like what we have one that routed on the turf, but none of these horses have routed. What the fuck do you do? Like, this is just a bunch of sprinters stretching out. Like, I had no clue. Like, Mark, like how, like when you see something like this, like what, like, because these come up at Saratoga too. Like this, it's not just like a Churchill thing, right? Saratoga, the 2-year-old stakes, they get put right in the fucking middle.
Yeah, but there are all the 2-year-old stakes at Saratoga are sprints. There is no 2-year-old races at Saratoga. So 2-year-old sprints is okay. Figure out who's going to get the lead. You want speed horses, standard stuff. These, you start playing that almost like you do early spring 3-year-old season, where you're trying to figure out, can any of these horses actually get this distance? And in this race, I am just absolutely baffled because you have both Stellar Tap and you have Major General. Both of them have showed
race.
Wait, aren't you on
race 8?
Oh, you started on race 8? Oh.
Yeah, because right, that's the. Please don't tell me I got these wrong.
I'm on race 8.
That's the leg, right? That's the.
No, man, I clicked on the wrong race. But either way, they're both the same sort of scenarios. You're playing this game of what horses in these fields can get these distances, and honestly, in this one, I have absolutely no idea where to go here. This is a race where I just really want to hit the all button. I absolutely hate this race. There's a bunch of horses, like the 4-horse, however you say that name. Again, Caleb and I can both screw up the name here.
On the 1s and 2s?
On the 1s and 2s. Yeah, there we go.
Numbers are hard.
Those are all. That was all English.
It was all squished together.
It was all English, though.
We thought 9 came before 8, so cut him a break.
Right. I couldn't count my fingers because it's kind of dark. Anyways, but no, I mean, you have a horse that you're trying to figure out what happened in the Adirondack, last out. But it has the fastest, I think, fig in the field, and this race is just horrible. I hate it. I have absolutely no idea what to do here. Let Caleb talk about it because he's smarter than I am.
Wait, I'm cutting him off. I'm pulling the Mark here because I have an opinion based on a pedigree. I'm not letting that sexy man steal my idea. I'm
not going to let this guy Jared Bush me.
So Unfortunately, I think Jimmy and Chat just got me, but the 11 Joy Runner, I like, you asked how you go there, right? So I start looking at horses that ran decent on turf with some pedigree, maybe the distance. What about the 11 Joy Runner? Gun Runner out of Joy, a pure prize. The horse, the only thing I have questioning is why are they running the workout so short? Horses ran a couple of 5 furlongs, but
it's Laura Woolers. She doesn't know how to train a horse.
She's actually doing pretty well lately if you look at the last 60 days. So maybe something's changed, but the big names are going to take the money. Goddess of Fire is going to take the money. I mean, it's Churchill Downs, so the 7's going to take money because Tom Amos places his horses so well. But why not the 11? That's all I have. I like the pedigree there, and now I'll turn it over to the non-fat guy.
I feel like
that's you, Caleb.
Is it a trap if I talk now?
Well, no, 2.5 of us.
Yeah, it's a good thing you jumped in, Brian, because I do like your 11.
Hell yeah, I knew you would. That's why I was getting in there.
I think that's sharp. These gun owner babies, I think they're going to get better with distance. I'm not a huge Laura Waller's fan going 2 turns. And I would have liked to see some longer works to build some stamina for this, but I do like the horse here. I'm going to talk a little more, theoretically and stuff, because I hate 2-year-old stakes races. I agree with Mark. I like 2-year-old maiden races, which is funny because I hate 2-year-old stakes races. I find them very hard to handicap. So when I'm kind of looking at it, typically what I'm going to look for, I don't pay that much attention to speed figures on 2-year-old races because they change so much. I mean, they can improve 20 points from start to start. They can regress. They can do a number of different things. They can be a closer in one race and make the lead in the next race. So a lot of the traditional handicap angles just don't apply. What I'll typically look for more often is really, kind of where did you break your maiden? How did you do it? Did you go and break your maiden at a track like, Indiana Grand, for example, like Joy Runner, which isn't as good of a race in my opinion. Were you entered as an MTO in a 3-horse field like Lemieux? I don't really like that. Did you win at Colonial like the 9? I'm not a huge fan of that either. Typically the better horses are running at Saratoga at this time of year. Some do run at Ellis. They've increased their 2-year-old purses quite a bit, so you can't really discount those runners either. And then I'll also kind of look to see, how the horses who have run back from those races have performed in their next start. Any next out winners or horses that have made significant improvements to their speed figures, I'll kind of upgrade those. That being said, kind of looking at this race, it was tough. An angle I picked up from Mark actually a while ago was looking at a horse like this 3, Mama Rena. A horse wins on turf and then they're putting her on dirt and stuff. To me, it might just be one of those times where they don't card very many route races for 2-year-old fillies in the summer. If you don't want to go throw your horse into the, a stakes race, then it's tough to find a 2-turn race. Maybe Connections just think this is a 2-turn horse, and the only way they could get that was to put her on the turf. Now they finally have an opportunity here to get her on the dirt going 2 turns, and maybe she'll step forward. Not a horse I love, but an angle I would consider in a race like this where there isn't a ton of ways to go. Beyond that, though, I actually ended up on 2 horses I kind of trashed a little bit, which was Hidden Connection, the 9, and then 11 Joy Runner. I'm just not really enamored with any of the short prices here. Anybody could probably win this race. I mean, Florent Drew, Brad Cox horse also looks fine. So I have no real opinion here. These are tough races for me.
Interesting. I thought the 2 probably made the most sense out of anybody in the spot. Broke its maiden in a pretty salty maiden race. And, if you look at the pedigree on here, I think you might have at least something that's going to be able to get a mile, So, I mean, maybe even the 1 a little bit too. I mean, and I know it's Caleb's favorite owner-breeder combo and G. Watts Humphrey there. But, like, I don't know. Like, I look at some of these other horses, like, the 4 out of like Jimmy Creed. I mean, this 4 is probably a turf horse, but hey, whatever. Let's try and stretch this horse out. A lot of the short prices, they just look like sprinters, based off of pedigree. I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time here. I mean, maybe you could make a case for the 9, but I don't know. I'm going to take my chances with a couple of prices here. I think the 2, the 10, and I have the 11 as a possible use as well. But I think I'll mostly key most of my play around the 2 and the 10. I know Lemieux, like the Fig, didn't come back real great last time out on that race. But I mean, if you look at who he was racing against, I mean, got trounced by Happy Soul, and I don't know what the hell happened to Happy Soul. Is they turn him out or what, or turn her out, and then left a key race the second time out too at Saratoga, and then finally won. I don't know. I don't hate it, and I think that the horse should have at least a little bit of well, I don't know. Distance might still be an issue for that horse, but yeah, I'm just gonna key around the 2. 2's really like the only opinion I have here.
I think you picked 2 sprinters, Josh, to be honest with you.
Really? You think the 2's a sprinter too?
Yeah.
The 2's a half sibling to Mind Control out of a stakes-winning dam who was only sprinted. The top side does lend some stamina with Mine Shaft, but I think this horse is at this stage of her career, I'd be surprised if she gets a mile and 16.
Yeah, I also thought that the pedigree on the 2 was a little bit shorter. I mean, I think there's probably a 5 or 6. If you're going to go pedigree angle, I mean, there's I think better choices here, especially horses that will carry a better price than a Pletcher Castellano entry.
I mean, if you're looking at like distance, isn't it like only really like the 1 and the 6?
Well, it depends. If you want to look at distance, I think the 11, the 10,
the 11's got distance pedigree.
Yeah, the 10, the 4, the 6 all have some distance there. And then if you flip it over and go to like turf, you're probably looking at somebody like Niche. What is that? Niche Snips or Maxine Machine. I mean, the 7, the 6, the 11. I mean, that's
knees and hips.
Oh,
and you pick on me about not being able to pronounce things. Yeah.
Niche,
I would say
Snips.
The 9 also has a bit of distance pedigree.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not the pedigree people. Caleb is, and he's going to be like, oh, no, this dam is a half to so and so.
I think y'all covered a lot.
And I'm just like, hey, I'm looking at average winning distance, and like if it's at over 7, hey, sure.
No, you just found the Jakarta for the 2-year-old route race.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, man.
One thing just on the theory aspect, if anybody's talking about these 2-year-old stake races, which I hate and they're horrible, and I tend to get really spready and hope for prices, but I know Brian talks about this quite a lot. If finding horses in these races who have passed other horses in previous races, you're going to need a horse that's going to be need to rate. They're not probably going to be able to get the lead like they did in the maiden race, and you want those horses that have passed other horses. But oftentimes what happens is these horses just massively overpower the fields that they're going against, so they never really had to do that. Now, your 11, though, has passed other horses, did seem to, in that maiden race, be able to rate and pass. So, I do like your 11, and Caleb's actually got me slightly interested on the 3 the more I look at it now, the damn turf horse. But, these races are always hard for me, and I would spread around here and try to find prices if you're playing through this horizontally.
So yeah, ever since I said the horse's name wrong, I keep looking at the 7 but I'll quit talking now. We've talked about everybody in this race.
Speaking of talking about everybody in this race, let's take a look at the Iroquois now. Mile and 16, same race, except for it's the males here.
This is race 9 on your tablet, Mark?
Yep. Yeah, race 9, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for the help.
And Mark already kind of spoiled a little bit. He talked about probably my 2 top picks in this race, and Major General and Stellar Tap. Once again, I kind of was just like looking at, I'm looking at distance pedigree. Like, do any of these horses actually want to route? And did they win? At least, did they win fairly impressively or run a decent enough figure? And yeah, both these horses, I think, fit the bill. They're going to be, I think, your 1 and 2 top choices in this race. The problem with these kinds of races, once again, though, is you get all these sprinters that just like are used to being on the front end. So I did kind of look. There was a horse I liked here. Let me scroll up. Was it the 4? Yeah, the 4, Strike Hard. I thought the 4, Strike Hard, made a ton of sense here. Has gone the mile distance. So, we're only looking for an extra half furlong here, and has passed horses as well. So I thought the 4 was kind of interesting in here, and Lino Reyes apparently is going to give up all his mounts at Gulfstream to try and come up to Churchill for this race. So that the 4 kind of was interesting. He's 10-1 on the morning line. I thought might have a little bit of a value play here. Mark, out of curiosity, how does Bayer like that last race out of Strike Hard?
They give it a 78. They liked it a fair bit. I think it's actually the fastest. It is the fastest bear fig in the field.
Yeah, I mean it looked huge on Briz, but I know that they often don't agree. But I just like the running line. He sat 2 lengths off and passed a bunch of horses, and won by 2 1/4 lengths. So. Yeah, I'm really interested in this 4, and then I think I'm going to take the 2 logicals, Stellar Tap and Major General here.
Yeah, so I know with Josh taking Stellar Tap and Major General, when I started going on this race before I got shut down, my thing here is you have, with both Stellar Tap and Major General, you have 2 horses with stupid early speed, both of them wired and just destroyed Maidenfield's first out. And you have to wonder, when you throw both of those into a race, what happens? I don't see a way that both of them settle and want to rate. And I think this kind of sets up with a speed duel where your 2 favorites could blow each other up on the front end and really set this up for somebody to come from off the pace. I don't know who that horse is that comes from off the pace. Again, as Caleb has said here, these younger horses, you really haven't figured out their running style in just 1 or 2 races. Oftentimes takes a little while. So I don't know who that horse is that comes from off the pace, but I think I would tend to be against the 2 favorites, just in the fact of, I think that they both could be desperate need the lead types who neither of them really want to go this far, even though both their pedigrees say that they should.
I think it's interesting that you talk about a speed duel happening, because I think even the 3s could be involved a little bit in the early pace situation. I mean, if you go by like velocity numbers, the 3 probably isn't there. But if you look at running lines and how the horses ran, there's no reason to think it won't at least be close, right? You could even say the same thing for the 9. I do like the 9 a little bit. I think this horse showed some versatility in 2 starts. Whether the debut at Ellis was just garbage, who knows? But may not be a need to lead kind of horse. And then I see other Asmussen angle, if you will. But I think you're right here. I think you try and figure out who you like the best for as a closer and go from there. I don't know. I can't decide. I'm looking at bombs that would normally never play. Somebody like the 2, the 7, the 10. I'm just going to look for a price here and hope for the best.
Yeah, or the 11 even. Yeah, I'm horses that can sit a little bit off from it and have shown a propensity to be able to pass other horses. And yeah, I think I tend to agree with your approach, Brian. I think this is a race that I want that off the pace. I want some horse from out of it.
Yeah, Brett's saying that he loves the 9 Guntown. He's not sure why Ricardo's not riding it, but Ricardo's riding the other Asmussen Stellar Tap here. So he's ridden that horse, and I think that horse.
Yeah, he probably stuck with the one he had the kind of the blow away win at Saratoga on, I would assume, over the horse coming out of Ellis.
It should be noted that it's Kentucky, and Winchell Thoroughbreds owns the 9 100%, and they're part owners of the 6 also. Same trainer, no coupling. Just something to point out.
So I think the 6 wins this race, and I think he wins easily, to be honest. I was really, really impressed with his debut race. I get what y'all are saying about the pace. The Iroquois looks like this every year. Every year, this is what the Iroquois looks like. It's what 80% of your 2-year-old stakes races looks like. And more often than not, they're still 1 and gate to wire. That's just the nature of racing with 2-year-olds at this stage of their career. They're starting to get to that point now in the fall where they do, pace matters a little bit more and they can close. You're trying 2 turns. But I just think Stellar Tap is a cut above. Pace setup or none. I just don't really see any closers here that look like they're all that good to me. I do like the 9 Guntown a little bit. Someone mentioned that in the chat, Brett. I'm with you on Guntown. I mean, that break, the horse got bumped hard out of the gate, closed into a slow pace, and then once again stalked off a slow pace last out. So I do like Guntown a little bit, but I'm a big fan of Stellar Tap. I mean, he set wicked fractions. He drew away against a field that ended up being pretty good. I mean, the second place horse, Keep Calm and Carry On, came back to win next time out. The horse that Stellar Tap was dueling with ended up fading to, I think, 6th in that race. So that race was dominated by closers after Stellar Tap, where they ran 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I just think this horse is extremely talented and much the horse to beat here. I'm very against Major General. I don't believe the figure for the most part. I know Timeform loved it. I know Brisnet loved it. But I just don't really buy it. Bayer didn't really think it was quite as great as it appears to be on Timeform. And for me, kind of using Bourbon Heist as the barometer, I mean, the horse has had 3 starts now. We kind of know what that horse is going to do. And on Timeform anyway, the horse ran the same race in his 2nd start as he did his debut, and then all of a sudden had a monster improvement in his 3rd start. Despite being 2nd by a head and 2nd by a neck in both of those. I just think the figure's too high. I think the connections are going to get bet. I'm not a big Castellano fan, especially on a horse that needs the lead. I don't think he's aggressive enough to go with the Santana horse. So I won't have Major General on any tickets. I like Stellar Tap and then a little bit of the 9 and the 11.
A little bit of the 9 and the 11. You like Bourbon Heist?
Just because he's the only closer in the race that I think, if someone is going to close, it's probably him.
Sorry, I get confused when you trash a horse and then immediately take it.
Well, the 9's going to be, I would probably AC this race with Stellar Tap and then a little bit of the 9 and the 11.
Hey, how can you say that he's the only closer in the field here when you've got so many limited sample sizes like the 7?
Well, he's the only proven closer, maybe that, like I said, I don't want a horse that broke his maiden on a race washed off the turf, beating a bunch of turf horses.
Fair.
So I'm not going to like the 7. The 5, I mean, I guess he closed a little bit doing 5 furlongs on the turf, but, I don't think that's what he really wants to do. Josh's 4 might be a closer. I mean, I'll give him that, but I'm just not a big fan of his Gulfstream races.
Gulfstream in August. You hate it.
You could stop that sentence after, Gulfstream.
Gulfstream. All right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, any love for the 1 in here? I realize the horse needs quite a bit of fig improvement, but it's a horse that, one of the few in the race that does have 2 wins and, experience definitely, some race experience definitely can't hurt. I realize it is a fairly sprinty pedigree.
I think that horse finishes dead last.
I'll take the not dead last. Actually, I tried to make an argument for the 1 on some improving form thing. Yeah. And if the race completely melts, Sophie will have the horse in a good spot. This feels a little too long for this particular horse. I don't see it anywhere near liking the distance.
Have you ever seen the movie Talladega Nights?
Yes.
You know how at the end, right?
Do you mean first or last?
At the end, they get out of the car and they start running. Yes. I think that's probably what would happen if this, in order for this 1 to win, all the jockeys would have to get off and start running.
You know what? I will take the not happening also. I think the 1 finishes in front of Major General.
The 1 beats the ambulance.
1 finishes in front of the 8.
I hate the 8, but I still think 8 beats the 1 by 20 lengths.
I have faith at least 1 jockey can fall off. Jockey 4. Reyes isn't going to make it the whole mile in the 16th.
Oh, man. Anything else? So I know, Mark, you had a couple more StableDuel plays you wanted to talk about here.
Jeez.
Let me pull up Woodbine. I think the first one was at race 5. You're a big fan. You're a big fan of this 13 pledge here, huh?
13 pledge, yeah. I thought this was an interesting race. A lot of horses in here that have a lot of turf tries, but not a ton of turf success. And if you look at the figures on pledge and that last out, almost got it done at 5 furlongs. A horse that has a fair bit of turf pedigree And you're getting that, second start across turf, which can be a bit of an upgrade angle, a little experience over the surface and a little bit more distance. The one was, the 13 was sort of getting to Amalfi Sky last out. So I thought Pledge was a horse that could kind of sit just behind. Emma's obviously been riding very well this meetup there. And at 10-1, I think you're getting a lot of value on a horse that, when there's a lot of suspect form with a lot of other ones in that field, I thought this was those kind of, that kind of horse that I'd almost be surprised if it doesn't hit the board, and wouldn't shock me if it won as well.
I just hit the Caleb scoring button, hoping that Caleb was going to just like trash it, but apparently
I didn't handicap this race. So I don't really have anything for it, unfortunately. In general, I'm not a big fan of 5 furlong to 7 furlong stretch outs, but I can't really knock it for anything beyond that.
All right, Mark, you had another one here.
Oh man,
in race 7, the 6 Sacred Oath at 20-1.
What one was this one? Yeah. This is just sort of one of those plays where I thought the line was a little bit, line was a little bit off. Obviously, this one is stepping up quite a bit in class, but again, you have a lot of horses in here that are 3 for 37 lifetime types, 1 for 8s or 1 for 17s. There's a lot of horses in here that have very, very sort of suspect form. And I realize this horse is not a win machine at all, 3 for 12 lifetime, but has never missed the exacta at Woodbine. Again, versus cheaper horses, stepping up in class here, but I don't really think there's any monsters in here. I think this is the kind of horse that if I know Caleb talks about these types where you need that horse that's inexpensive, that kind of clunks up and hits the board. I thought Sacred Oath was that type of horse. And Norm McKnight and Ban have actually had, actually a fairly high percentage together. And yeah, you're getting Norm McKnight, who's a 20% trainer on the meet so far at 20-1 on a horse that has hit the exacta 6 of 12 starts. So it's the kind of, price horse that I feel like I can use in a spot like this.
And that was Mark A to B Capitan's StableDuel plays for Saturday. And Brian, I know you had a
Wait, and I got to shit on Mark's pick a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
$10,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime claimers into a $101,000 allowance race.
Class doesn't matter, Jeff. Josh tells me this all the time.
It's true. Class does not.
No,
matter.
I mean, the one thing that you do notice at Woodbine is you have a lot of these Woodbine specific horses, and they just race at Woodbine, and I really think Woodbine, of any meet that I pay a little bit of attention to, I think some of the difference between some of the low level claimers and some of the sort of lower level allowance horses is not as great as at other tracks. They're taking a shot here. I get that, but they're going at, the distance that they won last out on. Maybe they just finally figured out what this one wants to do.
All right.
I agree with you about the gap. I'll give you that. At Woodbine especially.
And then Caleb, you had a play in the Canadian.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what races we were going to cover, so I handicapped this one. And I'll admit, this is not a play that I think the horse wins. I think that probably the Godolphin horse, Walton Street, is your winner here. But the number 8, English Conqueror, is quite possibly going to be...
You're the Canadian International, not the Canadian, correct?
Race 9.
Yeah, Canadian International, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, the number 8 horse, English Conqueror, good chance the horse is the longest price on the board. And there's about 2 or 3 stable horses I think you could use in here from a StableDuel perspective. They're offering good value. But I wanted to take the longest price of all of them, most likely. This horse has kind of had, flashes where he looked good and then just kind of, backed up a little bit. But he's super consistent. He only has 9 starts as a 4-year-old, and he's hit the trifecta in 7 of those 9 starts. He only really has 1 poor race in his entire career, which was his second career start. Beyond that, he's never been worse than 4th. I think that, they are starting to stretch him back out to a distance that he really should like, getting back out to a 1.5 miles. The one time he tried that distance before, he ran 3rd, but that was probably first time against winners, a huge stretch out from 1.16 miles to a 1.5 miles. maybe just a little bit too much too soon. They brought him along slowly here. And yeah, he was beaten by Corelli last time out, but I thought he took a big step forward there. He was kind of chasing behind a slow pace, and him and Corelli could not have had more different trips. He was kind of shuffled to the back of the pack and then forced to go incredibly wide. He was on the wrong lead for about half the stretch run before finally getting set down late. And I just think that between him and Corelli, I would much rather have him out of that race. And Corelli is like 4-1 or something, Josh, and this horse is 15-1. I just think he has a great chance to run third at a really nice price.
Yeah, Corelli is the 3. No, who's Corelli? Is he the 1? Yeah, the 1. Yeah. 4-1. It's 4-1. Walton Street's the 8-5 on the morning line, which is basically unusable in StableDuel. Unless like you're like a real small field. In this field this size, there's absolutely no reason you should be taking it. Bluegrass Parkway is actually kind of an interesting horse. I was very surprised that they scratched out at Kentucky Downs. I'm guessing they scratched out to run here, but I really like Bluegrass Parkway in the Kentucky Downs race. So I haven't really looked at this race yet. But that would definitely be a horse that I would take a look. The horses that are coming out of those Ellis Park races at Kentucky Downs are super live, so that might be a horse at $1,000. You might be able to take a flyer on, and you get Husbands, who's been riding really well up at Woodbine this past year. So
isn't Mike Maker like -4% over the last month?
Yes.
His barn is ice cold.
Yeah, but I'm taking Mike Maker at 10-1. I'm not taking Mike Maker at like 4-1 or something, 3-1. You know,
Maker's mark was $10. I'd have some of that too, but I don't.
Yeah, didn't he have like 6 horses in a race at Kentucky Downs and none of them hit the board? I was just gonna say, I thought the 6 in here, Fentiasio. Wow,
Fantazioso.
Fantazioso.
That was another one that scratched out of Kentucky Downs, right?
Scratched out of Kentucky Downs to run here instead, and was a horse that you're getting Joel Rosario on the type of horse that he's good on. From Out of the Clouds closer. I thought horse kind of isn't way out of it here. It seems to fit. I don't necessarily think that, again, I'll pull up Caleb line. Don't think the horse can win, but I think the horse can sort of, clunk up and get a piece. And I would much rather take this kind of horse at 8-1 than I would take one of the shorter prices here, who I think are a little more suspect.
Brian, was there anything here that you liked? Or should we get to your Gulfstream pick?
There's nothing at Woodbine. I haven't capped the rest of the card. I only capped just to watch Caleb's face be disgusted here in a minute.
I don't have a format for Gulfstream, so I can't be that sick.
Well, I did see here Gulfstream race 9. We got a 2-year-old fillies race going a mile on the turf, and you like Harper Be Good here.
And it's not really so much like a price play or anything. The horse is 5-1. I think the 5 Saturday Night Girl and the 4 Diamond Wow are both going to take, I don't want to say money, but they're both 2-1 on the morning line.
2-1, 5-2. Yep.
2. So that means that to me there's a little bit of value here, because people that play StableDuel, they might see that, right? They might just say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to pick some wild horses, whatever. It happens. And Harper Be Good, Safi Joseph is 22% this meet. Edwin Gonzalez is almost 20% this meet. And the horse worked out nicely. Seems to be getting a little bit better. It's hard to say on the horse that ran twice, right? But this is the only stakes race. Now they're taking the horse to turf. It was dirt before. How do I feel about the pedigree here? I don't know. The horse has garbage turf pedigree, if I remember right. Social Inclusion, Harper's Halo, a Fleet Alex. So why are they going to turf? I don't know. But Safi Joseph, I'm not going to doubt him. He's a pretty good trainer, right? At least at Gulfstream Green. In the summertime, Caleb, like the best meet. It's like the best meet south of Mississippi. But, I may actually play 2 horses in this race. I know I only told you that one, but I think the 9 at 10-1 for 1,000 StableDuel bucks is worth looking at. I'm not trying to say that name because Mark already embarrassed himself. I'm not doing it again. ice wine. I sound like a little. Never mind.
Yeah, ice wine. That's probably right.
It sounds like something from East Germany. So whatever. But the horse, for $1,000, why not? Maybe it's a 2.9 exacta, and you can steal something. I think a lot of people may either play the short horses here or skip it with for StableDuel being the only stakes card or stakes race in the card. So might be able to squeeze a little value here in a StableDuel setup. That was kind of my play, kind of my angle, trying to be, I don't want to say be contrarian, but, for the lack of a better word. That's all I got. Nice day. I think the one will take some action, but, Kent Sweezy means Swifty's going to pump that horse up, and the horse will be like 2
to the hoop.
No, there's no hoop.
Sweezy to the hoop.
Anyone trying to beat She Dares the Devil on Saturday at Churchill? I'm not going to look at that yet. It's the 10th.
The 10th race. There's nobody else in that race.
I think I will try to beat her, though, because that's what I do. Hold on.
And Vuitton.
I mean, if you're going to try, it looks like Envutant or maybe Crystal Ball.
Crystal Ball, maybe. Yeah.
I think Crystal Ball would be where I would lean.
I don't think that she can lose, to be honest. Just wanted to see if y'all had any strong opinions.
I mean, Envutant's done really well at Churchill and at the distance. I really like She Dares the Devil. I didn't really trust her for the longest time, but she's proven that she's the real deal now. She's been I think I don't I don't know if I think Envutant's been beaten by a couple times by She Dares the Devil, so yeah, she's your most likely winner in here. She's going to be on the board like she is. If you're playing the horizontals, maybe try to get around her, but yeah, I think she's probably wins this 9 out of 10 times.
Who beat She Dares the Devil 2-bag?
Latruska.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't read that. Thank you.
Yeah, she's only lost to Latruska, Valiance, and Swiss Skydiver. 3-year-old Swiss Skydiver. So it's a good one.
It's one of those things where I think, She Dares the Devil is the most obvious horse to win. But because of that, you might actually get a little bit of an overlay on Crystal Ball, right? Is that enough to, I wouldn't play Crystal Ball as a single in a sequence or anything like that. But, if you get double digits there, what's your win bet price, if you will? If they run this race 100 times, how many times does She Dare the Devil win?
I don't know. I don't I hate taking in these races where you have a real short price and then the other logical is 2 to 1. You might be 4 to 5 or even money and the other one's 2 to 1. I hate taking that second choice too. Because it's not really that much value. If you really think that She Dares Devil is that much better, you got to just stick with that. But
I saw something on Twitter, and it wasn't with any stats, but it was someone, I don't know, Craig Milkowski or maybe Ed DeRosa or somebody had this theory that when a heavy favorite flops, that more often than not, the second choice also underperforms, and the race is won by an outsider.
That was Milkowski.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. If there's any data, if there's any way you could even look that up, but it does sort of feel that way. So I get what you're saying.
It was a back and forth. He said that, and he said he was going to try to pull the data and look it up.
But yeah, I would not go Envutant here. I would maybe go, Lady Kate or Crystal Ball before I would, if I was going to try to beat.
It was interesting. Did you see? I mean, I know Caleb, you responded, and I don't know if you saw ITP. Had a whole side conversation based off that. Hey, you have a horse that's 2 to 5. You think the horse is going to win, 50% of the time. What do you do with it, right? And by basic math, right, if the horse wins 50% of the time, you need better than even money, right? So 2 to 5 is going to be an underlay. So you're almost better. I think ITP was talking, you're better off taking everybody but, because you're actually getting an overlay in expected value that way. Now, that's a real, just I feel like that that's like a real extreme example, because usually if a horse is 2 to 5 on the morning line, or if you think a horse is 2 to 5, you're not thinking the horse is winning half the time, right? Like there's a discrepancy there, but I think it's just something to think about, right? Where if you think She Dares the Devil, right, wins this race half the time and she's 4 to 5 in the morning line, well, there might be value elsewhere, and there might be value in trying to beat her. There is value trying to beat her, whether or not that's what's going to happen, right? You can't pay your bills with value, but I think you had kind of mentioned like that might just be a spot where you skip the sequence, right? You instead of playing the pick 5 or pick 4, maybe you just hammer a double or a pick 3 and just avoid that race in general. So
yeah,
but
you got to look at the bet, it's one bet for 5 races. It's not a win bet, and it's a different kind of conversation. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of, there are times when it's acceptable to take an underlay on a price like that. But, if it's the first leg of a pick 5 and it's that big of an underlay, I'll play against or I'll skip.
So why not play a pick 3 and play against, if that was your perceived value approach, right? You do a single by 3 by single and a closing pick 3, and you leave She Dares the Devil out. That pick 3 should pay off inflated prices.
Yeah, if that's your opinion,
loses.
yeah.
Just a thought. I'm going to play 1, 4, 6, and I'm going to box him.
Yeah, like I think in this case, like I think the 1 and the 4, maybe the 3 make the most sense in trying to beat the short prices here.
6.
You really like the 6, huh? Who's the 6? Our Super Freak?
Only 4 wins in 26 starts, but look how many times the horse has been in the money. You're talking 20 times out of 26. If you're going to play exactors or tries, I don't know how you could leave that horse out. That's all. And Ryder Dave's favorite jockey is aboard.
The tax
Here we
man.
go. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Obviously, you guys can catch us on Twitter. You guys got all of our Twitter handles here. The main Twitter is @wrong_lead. Check out Manscaped. I thought you were pointing at Manscaped, but you were pointing at your Twitter handle.
Point to Mark. Point to Mark.
I'll point to Mark. Yeah, make sure you use code WrongLead for 20% off your order. I think it's free shipping too. I got to double check, but yeah, Caleb loves it. Brian loves it. I love Brian's commercial read for our podcast. Make sure you check out our podcast. I got to talk to Mr. Jay Davis. I'm going to try and see if I can sucker him in coming on next week and talk about his Kentucky Downs hit. That was just a real fun moment for everybody. We were all super happy for him. But yeah, we'll be around this weekend. Catch us on Discord, Twitter, and we will catch you guys later.